Welcome back to Pitso here on SABC Lehae. The Independent Police Investigative Directorate Amendment Bill has been adopted by the Police Portfolio Committee in Parliament. This brings the bill a step closer to becoming law. Thus, despite concerns raised by the Democratic Alliance and other sectors of society about the bill not meeting constitutional muster.
Adoption of the Independent Police Investigative Directorate Amendment Bill.
The majority of MPs serving on the Police Portfolio Committee are satisfied with the bill in its current form. The Democratic Alliance wanted to ensure its objection to the bill was noted.
The rule is very clear, and I think it's useful for members that it is now on the screen. It doesn't have to say Democratic Alliance, Chair. It's a minority view. The minority view was expressed by an individual member of the committee. It's that minority view that must be captured, and I'm happy to submit that.
Off the bat, the DA and other parties were concerned about the bill, saying it will not assist in dealing with the police abuse and misconduct within the service. Whitfield said his party was concerned that the police minister still had too much say in the appointment of an executive director for IPID. The process to amend the IPID Act came about when the Constitutional Court found parts of the Act to be unconstitutional. This specifically referred to the police minister's power to remove the IPID head and how the executive director should be appointed. Most MPs were, however, happy with the bill.
We had robust but respectful deliberations on the bill, which was encouraging and highly appreciated. Allow me to once more thank members, the Minister and Deputy Minister of Police, the Acting Secretary for Police and his team, and our support staff for the efforts to process this highly anticipated and significantly important bill. Lastly, I wish to thank the public for their submissions and participation in the legislative process.
The bill will now go to the National Assembly for approval. Abra Barbia, SABC News, Parliament.
For an opinion on the adoption of the bill, we welcome the Executive Director for Freedom of Expression Institute, Samkelo Mukine. Samkelo, welcome to SABC Lehae. This is a show called Pitso. We understand that you made a submission during the public hearings. Please take us through some of the submissions that you've made.
One of the key ones is the issue around the appointment and removal of the executive director, for one. And then the second one would be the issue of complaints and how they are handled. And then the third one would be the remuneration and conditions of employment for people working for IPID.
You spoke about the issue of the removal and appointment of the executive director. Please expatiate on that. What really is your concern?
The bill made the minister responsible for the appointment of the executive director. And if we look at the McBride judgment and the Constitution, both envisage an independent complaints directorate. How will the directorate be independent if the appointment of its head will be the executive director be dependent on the minister, who is a political appointee? And so our proposal was that the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee be responsible, rather than just the minister, that the Portfolio Committee be responsible for the shortlisting and making the appointment and an ultimate recommendation to the president to appoint a specific person for executive director. And part of the thrust of the McBride judgment was that IPID must not only be independent, but it must be seen to be independent by the complainants who are complaining against the police.
So, Mr. Mukine, some of the provisions for this amendment bill is to also provide the pre-employment security screening investigations, being conducted by the Directorate, which someone might think this is something positive. Don't you think this is a good thing? Because it surely ensures that it means people that are going to be working for IPID are going to be thoroughly investigated before they get those appointment letters.
Yeah, I think there is once something is justified in terms of it as a requirement, then we really don't see any problem with it. So if it's important for those that will be appointed for them to be screened, then so be it.
All right, so you seem to not be the only one that is against the bill because even the Democratic Alliance says this is unconstitutional. Do you think this opens the door for the bill to be challenged in court?
Yes, it definitely does, because it's all about the way individuals interpret things. Sometimes you'll go to your own legal representatives and they'll say, I think you are on very solid constitutional grounds, everything should be okay. And then you lose the court the case in court, and somebody else might have a different view who's giving you an opinion as to whether you can challenge something or not. So it's just that we still differ on the fact that on the issue of independence, whether in its current form, the bill will be able to pass constitutional muster. We still have our doubts.
So in the past, or in your experience, in terms of police investigations by the IPID, how has the experience been? Do you think investigations have been done well? Does this amendment bill make things worse?
I think you can't just lump every problem that the IPID has on amendments that are yet to be made. So I think the IPID at the moment has problems, and some of the proposals as contained in the bill, which hasn't even been implemented, are going to exacerbate those problems. So I think as we go along, we need to make sure that IPID is able to achieve efficiency so that people do not, for one, end up having to wait for quite a long time before their matters are brought before court. So it will be a combination of things, but let us remember that the current proposals are not yet in place.
Mr. Mukine, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
That was the Mr. Mukine, Samkelo Mukine, who is representing the Freedom of Expression Institute, talking about the IPID amendment bill. Let us now go to the break. After the break, we still have more news. We are in that season where summer initiation schools are opening, and a lot of young boys will be leaving their homes for a period of time. Every year we hear of deaths of young boys at illegal initiation schools. Does it mean every year we should expect a child to turn up dead once they go to these initiations? Who is to blame? Today on our show we have Kiba Kekana from the Gauteng Provincial Initiation Coordinating Committee, PICC, who will give us more insight on initiation schools in the province. Mr. Kiba, welcome to Pitso here on SABC Lehae. Let's start here. How many initiation schools have you registered so far?
We have registered initiation schools in the regions that are conducting. So at the moment, we're talking about 45 in the city of Johannesburg, 1 in Ekurhuleni, 16 in Sidiben District, 11 in the Western District Municipality. In the city of Tshwane, we do not have any registration because they do not conduct summer initiations. They only conduct winter initiations.
Mr. Kiba, I'd like to understand, I come from Limpopo myself. I was born and bred there. So as a vendor person, I know that I would go to a vendor initiation school to learn about my tribe, and the school will be conducted according to my traditions. So in Gauteng, it's a mixture, it's a melting pot of cultures and traditions and tribes. How does it work in the province of Gauteng, wherein there is a lot of cultures? Do you have a specific, do you say this one is for Tsonga people, or do you mix them together?
We are so fortunate that the two recognized traditional communities in Gauteng, that is the Hammaskral community, Andabalebelo Bakekana, and the Mahlangus and the Nzunza community in the area around the Sokolumi, Bronkhorstspruit. And in the various parts of the regions, in Ekurhuleni, Sidibeng, the West Rand and Joburg, communities have organized themselves, culturally so. So when they organize these sacred cultural practice, they do that according to their cultures and customs.
So now let's look at safety measures that have been put in place. What are the measures that you've put in place to make sure that everything goes well?
We're so fortunate that in the past, we did not have an overarching legislation to manage and monitor the practice, the practicing of this sacred culture. Now we've got the Customary Initiation Act. So this act, creates a framework that all of us should comply to. In doing so, at the national level, they've got the National Initiation Oversight Committee. It's called NIOC. At provincial level, that is in the 9 provinces, there are Provincial Initiation Coordinating Committee. So I'm a member of the Gauteng Provincial Initiation Committee. It's a committee that is established in terms of statutes by the Premier. So it has got traditional leaders participating. It also has representatives coming from other key stakeholders like the CRL and the other, interested parties and departments of government. So in that regard, all initiations that are taking place in Gauteng are to be approved or registered by the PICC. Any school that is not approved or registered by the PICC, it is illegal, and it means people are not complying with the law, and that is an offense.
Mr. Kiba, we all know of chance takers. There are people that probably planning to open illegal initiation schools. How do I, as a parent, see that this is not a legal or a registered initiation school? How do I make sure that I don't send my child to an illegal initiation school?
We have tried our utmost best to conduct workshops, education and awareness workshop on this piece of legislation in all the regions of the province. We met stakeholders, and we continuously issue out, media alerts through community-based radio stations and other platforms. We have issued already 2 main media statements on the 21st of August and around the 8th of November, we issued a media statement. Even today, we have just issued another media statement. All what we are saying is that parents should contact the PICC. We have circulated numbers, or they can contact Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Department, COGTA. They can also go to their nearest police station, because we're working with SABS, which is a key stakeholder, just to check whether these schools are registered or not. Because both the parents and those that are conducting illegal initiation schools will be culpable in case there are challenges in the operating and running of those schools. Because the main objective of having these structures to govern as governance structures for the initiation is to save lives. But it's also to promote, the culture, but to protect, the dignity of the traditional, of the institution of traditional leadership. Because these initiation schools are not meant to be killing fields. They are meant as part of enhancing our broader education system, because kids go through that system. It's not a circumcision school. It's an initiation school. It has got a much more bigger, broader program of leading the young ones towards a responsible adulthood. So it's a package. So we do not want it to be tainted, to be seen as a place where kids die. That is why the main objective is to save lives. We are doing everything possible. The challenge is that when something is illegal, it's operated in the underworld because people want to have money, because they charge, some of them, exorbitant prices, those who are do not want to go through the process of registration. They just abduct kids and they do things that are not in line with the cultural practice. So we want to protect the integrity. That is why the Act says all that is being done that is not in line with this Act, it's an offense, and people will be liable to a fine and also a sentence, or a sentence in prison, or both. So it's a very serious